Hey there, my foxy peeps. So I thought I'd try something different today with talking of what makes me me. So I'll start off with when I was a kid. So it'll all be in different parts, but I'm going to record it all in one day while it's all in my mind, not elsewhere's. And the whole fact that I have today off. But what makes me me? Starting off as a little kid growing up. So, what most of y'all don't know is I grew up out in the middle of the country in Montana, really close to the mountains. My summertime was filled with being on the mountain or going fishing at a reservoir. My hair looks like bleh. Anyway, at a reservoir, not far, well, kind of far, but not too far from home. I think like a couple hour drive. I don't know. I can't remember. I was a little kid. But, you know, growing up, I didn't have any sisters. So I didn't know how to be a girly girl. I was a tomboy. I wore cowboy boots, cowboy hat, cowboy pants, cowboy shirts. Because my older brother would grow out of them and they would be handed down to me. And because, you know, I didn't really have any sisters and didn't really know any different, and being, you know, just a little kid, I wore them with pride. My favorite toys were not Barbie dolls. Sadly to say, my mom would always try and give me a Barbie doll, and at the time, you know, early 80s, they didn't have the hard plastic yet. They still had the rubbery type, I don't know, rubberized Barbie doll. And because I really hated Barbie dolls, I would either chop off all their hair or chew off their feet. Don't ask me why. I like to chew on stuff. I was a very strange child. And I would literally be outside playing with cars or little tractors or my favorite, Tonka trucks. Me and my little brother, we would always constantly, you know, be in the sandbox, and we would, like, build roads. And I know this sounds, like, really gross, but we would get black dirt from the sewer ditch. And now, it wasn't a sewer ditch. It didn't, you know, contain poo or anything. It was the wastewater from the wash machine. Literally, just that. Or, and the kitchen sink. It was the wastewater from the kitchen sink and the wash machine. But the dirt within there was just black, and I have a loose hair. Was just black. So me and my little brother, we would go and dig out this dirt out of the sewer ditch, because any other sewer ditch would not be going into the irrigation ditch. How disgusting is that? So it wasn't like a sewer ditch, but that's what we called it. Because we had a septic tank that put the poo in. But it was just wastewater. And so we would take that over to the sandbox, and we'd have the little Tonka trucks and little Tonka blader type tractor, and we would make little roads. And we would just drive around. So I grew up being a tomboy. I'd run around outside. You know, I would go barefoot, which, to the word of the wise, don't go barefoot in Montana. Ow. First off, all over the yard we had pokeweeds. My poor feet, I don't know how many of those I had to pull out of there because I would always go barefoot. Or the rare cactus growing on the lawn. I stepped on one of those. That was not fun. Or the main problem that they have in Montana. Snakes. So, yeah. Don't go barefoot. I know what it feels like with a snake slithering underneath your foot. I still to this day do not know exactly what kind of snake that was, but all I have to say is thank God it was not a rattlesnake. It was probably a garter snake because it went right into the flower bed, but one never knows. But literally growing up, I was isolated out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the road was like 2 miles away. the nearest town, which was Hardin, where I was born and raised and grew up, went to school, everything. That was 11 miles away. I think another town was like Crow Agency, that was like 15 miles away. And then there was St. Xavier, which was nothing more than a little itty-bitty village. But, you know, that was like, I think another 11 miles away, because I think my grandma lived like halfway in between or something. Or something like that. Oh well, all I know. Or maybe my grandma lived 11 miles away. Maybe it was like 30 miles away to St. Xavier, but that's where we went to church, with St. Xavier, because my dad didn't want to go to town. But, yeah, so I grew up out in the middle of nowhere. And getting to the whole church part, when we would go to church, we had running water inside the church, mind you. We had a kitchen in that church, which we didn't really use because, you know, we didn't have much of a congregation, for one thing. We could never keep a preacher for another. But we didn't have any indoor toilets in that church. Mind you, little itty bitty kid, they need to go to the toilet room. So, there we are. We have to go to an outhouse, which is behind the church, which we had one for a man, one for a woman. But it was, yeah. That's how Montana is for you. So, that's how I literally grew up. Out in the middle of literally nowhere. And I enjoyed it. I adored it. You know, I played on my bicycle. We didn't really have much for TV. We had one of those old satellite dishes. And at night we would watch TV. But mostly, we didn't watch TV. I did not grow up watching TV. I do not really remember watching much for TV. There would be times set aside during the winter when we could go outside because it would get kind of cold, which, you know, Montana seems a lot warmer than where I'm at now, but, you know, it would get cold and my mom wouldn't let us go outside. So we would get to watch some movies. All I remember is going to my room and playing in my room because my mom always had watched soap operas. I hate soap operas. Anyways, so back to this old satellite dish. Imagine those that you think of when you think of NASA. Huge, huge satellite dishes. I mean, it was huge. It would literally make noise when it moved. It was like, yeah, I mean, that was old. And, you know, we'd have to watch, you know, we had a lot of TV channels, but I don't really remember most, except for maybe, like, I know I watched a lot of PBS. And we had Disney East and Disney West. And, because I can remember watching one TV show, and then going to, I think it was Disney East, or, no wait, we watched it on Disney East, and then we'd go to Disney West, and we would watch it 2 hours later. Don't know why. But, yeah, and, I mean, literally, growing up, so I was, like, completely isolated. So, I'm gonna leave it off at that, and then part 2 will explain further why I am the way I am, and what makes me me. So, like, comment, or subscribe, because I randomly put up videos, and thanks for watching. Bye!